I mean, quite frankly, when I look at their plan that talks about advancing testing, creating new PPE, developing a vaccine, it looks a little bit like plagiarism, which is something Joe Biden knows a little bit about.
Oh yeah, guys, we got some clips now. I wanted to start off with that first one just to really set the stage of how Mike Pence approached this debate because he was vicious. Well, as much as an old neocon can be vicious, but he was actually spouting facts, reciting policy, and meanwhile, Kamala Harris did something that looks like this.
Well, let's get
So
to
no, but Susan, this is important.
Susan, I
I
have
want
to
to add,
weigh in here.
Mr. Vice President, I'm speaking.
I have to
I'm
weigh
speaking.
in.
What a charming woman. What a charming woman. And she did that several times throughout the debate, in between different lying sessions and different appeals to the public by staring straight into the camera and doing her weird little cackle whenever she was pressed for an answer. But, oh yeah, we got a clip for that one as well. You better fucking believe it. No, but it was a lot of rambly, weird shit. This vice presidential debate honestly really didn't need to happen, but with the late-breaking developments that happened earlier today, it's probably going to be the last in-person debate that we see this election cycle, and all of the topics of the vice presidential debate were just recycled from last presidential debate from last week with the Supreme Court, COVID, justice, the economy. It was just retreading old ground, and it was, yeah, the same plug-in policy, insert lie, be a condescending weirdo, and you know you lost the fucking debate when, well, Kamala Harris got smoked. You know that even all the late night hacks in the liberal press realized that Kamala lost the debate when a fly landing on the vice president's head for about 2-ish minutes is the big story coming out of it because, yeah, she got absolutely smoked because everything was just a lie or just a rambly, nonsensical answer that had nothing to do with it. I guess she learns well from the tree of Joe Biden. So I picked out a few questions that I think are pertinent to the vice presidential debates here, and we're going to highlight them. And the first one goes to, you know her, you love her, unless you're black in California, Kamala Harris. She got the question of presidential fitness, and if her and Joe Biden have had a conversation in regards to if Joe is to fall ill and if she would be able to take over as vice president. Here was her response.
So let me tell you, first of all, the day I got the call from Joe Biden, it was actually a Zoom call, asking me to serve with him on this ticket was probably one of the most memorable days of my life. I thought about my mother, who came to the United States at the age of 19, gave birth to me at the age of 25 at Kaiser Hospital in Oakland, California. And the thought that I'd be sitting here right now, I know would make her proud.
Now, here's the thing. I didn't go to university. I didn't get a PhD. I'm not a lawyer or anything, but that doesn't sound anything like have you had a conversation with Joe Biden and have discussed the fitness of him and what you would do in the event that you'd need to take over, because God knows fucking old man Biden's not lasting 4 years. She will be the president. If you vote Democratic, she is going to be your president one day. But I'm glad we got the history lesson out of the way because God knows I was staying up at night wondering where, how, and why Kamala came into this earth. But outside of what old fucking sedan she was conceived in, we now know a brief synopsis of the Harris clan. And that wasn't the full 2 minutes that she got, but that was another good example of what she did with her time when she got it, because another big talking point coming out of this debate was Mike Pence just dominated the stage and, oh, he was talking over the moderator. Yeah, I've also seen a breakdown where the time spent talking by Pence and Kamala were divided up. One had 38 minutes and 38 seconds, and the other one had about 35-ish, and actually, Kamala got to talk the most. She didn't say anything, but she sure as fuck talked the most. I'll have to double fact check that, but it seemed about equal, give or take 3 minutes, like fucking whatever. And as I mentioned on the vice presidential pre-gamer I did here, I think on Sunday, Susan Page did a job as a moderator. You can bitch and moan about how pointed the questions were to Pence, because they were a lot of, hey, do you know how bad Orange Man is? And then he would deflect. And I'll give you an exact example, actually. He was asked about how the public is supposed to respond to a plea to wear masks and submit to our overlords, whatever. And Pence really doesn't care, and that kind of came off quite a bit in the debate here. How the public is supposed to take this as a serious situation, as COVID is a serious situation. If the White House isn't taking this as a serious concern, because we all know that Trump got the coof from this alleged super spreader event for Amy Coney Barrett's nomination last week, which is debatable. It could have happened also at the first presidential debate, where the testing protocol, as from the mouth of Chris Wallace, was held under a honor system. So we don't really know where Trump got it, but we don't need to drag up that old ground. But this is how Pence responded to that question.
Well, the American people have demonstrated over the last 8 months that when given the facts, they're willing to put the health of their families and their neighbors and people they don't even know first. And President Trump and I have great confidence in the American people and their ability to take that information and put it into practice. In the height of the epidemic, when we were losing a heartbreaking number of 2,500 Americans a day, we surged resources to New Jersey and New York and New Orleans and Detroit. We told the American people what needed to be done, and the American people made the sacrifices. When the outbreak in the Sun Belt happened this summer, again, Americans stepped forward. But the reality is the work of the President of the United States goes on. A vacancy on the Supreme Court of the United States.
So a great old school politician way of pivoting off of one point and quasi-answering it, at least enough where you wouldn't get pushback, unlike Kamala's previous rambling biography. But that's the one critique you can really make for Susan Page. She just kind of tossed up her question, and it's like, okay guys, just take a swing at it, and whatever they do, it's a fucking home run regardless. But yeah, I think in the official breakdown, coronavirus was definitely the most talked about subject again, like it was in the first debate. And then, of course, they pivoted to the economy, and there was this little weird thing I'm going to highlight here.
And Kamala Harris.
You know, that's a good segue into our third topic,
segue,
which is about the economy.
Now, either Kamala Harris is incredibly vapid, which is a fair point to make, or she knew what was coming up next. A great segue, great segue. How the fuck do you know? You don't know what the fuck Susan Page was going to ask, but I just think that she's generally stupid, so nothing really to glean from that, other than it's just kind of funny. And we all remember 2016, where the DNC got all the CNN town hall questions in advance, but I think we'd be looking too much into that. So then Page asked Harris if elected, what was going to happen with the economy? What kind of tax plans would they come in with, and what kind of a idea did they have to come out of the Democratic imposed recession? Because honestly, at this point, it's only the blue states that are really being locked down, so you'd just be fooling yourself to say otherwise. Texas, Georgia, all these places that didn't have lockdowns, which are weirdly enough also governed by Republicans, they seem to be bouncing back well. Oh, but we have more cases. Yeah, but fewer people are actually dead, so, you know, hey, whatever. What are a few facts? And then, of course, I'm going to make this very, very clear. Actually, I'm going to let Kamala make this very, very clear. Taxes will go up on everybody because
On day one, Joe Biden will repeal that tax bill. He'll get rid of it. And what he'll do with the money is invest it in the American people.
So if elected, they're going to repeal Donald Trump's tax cuts. And what that will immediately do is raise up everybody's tax rates to pre-Trump levels. And everybody knows, fuck, if you just look at your pay stub, you were doing a lot better under the Trump tax code as opposed to the Obama tax code. And then posed with the exact same question, this is how Mike Pence responded.
When President Trump and I took office, America had gone through the slowest economic recovery since the Great Depression. It's when Joe Biden was vice president, they tried to tax and spend and regulate and bail our way back to a growing economy. President Trump cut taxes across the board. Despite what Senator Harris says, the average American family of four had $2,000 in savings in taxes. And with the rise in wages that occurred, most predominantly for blue-collar, hardworking Americans, the average household income for a family of four increased by $4,000 following President Trump's tax cuts. But America, you just heard Senator Harris tell you, on day one, Joe Biden's going to raise your taxes.
And how is that not true with everything that I just laid out for you? I've done several videos on the different tax plans, and in fact, I've done one on Joe Biden's specific tax plan, and that's exactly what's going to happen. And here's really the proof that you need that, man, Kamala was just so terribly underprepared and was just super snooty. And here's a perfect example of that.
Well, I mean, I thought we saw enough of it in last week's debate, but I think this is supposed to be a debate based on fact and truth. And the truth and the fact is Joe Biden has been very clear. He will not raise taxes on anybody who makes less than $400,000 a year.
He said he's going to repeal the Trump tax cuts.
Mr. Vice President, I'm speaking.
Well, wait.
I'm speaking.
It'd be important if you said the truth. Joe Biden said twice in the debate last week that he's going to repeal the Trump tax cuts. That was tax cuts that gave the average working family $2,000 in a tax break every single year. Senator,
that is absolutely not true.
Is he only going to repeal part of the Trump tax cuts?
Ugh, how fucking unlikable was that? I'm speaking. Oh my God. I've had a bunch of different female bosses in my life. And normally you hear that old criticism where, oh, they're just trying to be extra bossy because they feel like they need to fit in a man's world, and that's really just not the case. From work in warehouse to work in retail, I've worked with a bunch of women and they have never acted like that. That just takes a special kind of psychopath to think that you own the stage and that you own all the speaking time and that you're so far above everyone else. She claims that by repealing tax cuts, that does not mean raising taxes. But in fact, if you get rid of something that is keeping something from getting larger, it's like removing a wall from a dam. Trump and Pence put in this wall, and I don't know how Biden and Harris are going to pull the wall up, but physically speaking, it's going to flood in new taxes, plain and simple. Like, also look at the body language in the clips here. You see Kamala, she just keeps moving around. She's totally unsure of what's really happening. And Mike Pence is just sitting there like the boringest man on earth, speaking in a cadence that is so slow and deliberate. It's effective in what he's trying to do. It's nothing like Donald Trump's crazy fucking arm waves, but it's really good at appealing to those Republicans who are a little unsure about the boisterous nature of Donald Trump, and it reassures them that, oh, okay, yeah, the people that Trump surrounds himself with have a good head on their shoulders, and they kind of know what they're doing, and based on the previous 4 years, minus the, the coof spell here, things have been going very well. The next point of contention was about, oh, you guessed it, fracking, the very, very safe way of extracting shale oil and gas that's hard to get to through regular conventional drilling procedures. Both Kamala and Joe Biden have said multiple times on video, the clips are out there, they will ban fracking. And Mike Pence actually takes it a step further in this next clip that feel free to stick around for.
But look, Senator Harris, you're entitled to your own opinion, but you're not entitled to your own facts. You yourself said on multiple occasions when you were running for president that you would ban fracking. Joe Biden looked at a supporter in the eye and pointed and said, I guarantee that we will abolish fossil fuels. They have a $2 trillion version of the Green New Deal, Susan, that your newspaper, USA Today, said really wasn't that very different from the original Green New Deal.
Ooh, doesn't that one fucking hurt? Nuked that bitch from orbit. Now, how do you think we're going to ban fossil fuels is going to play out in places like Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Texas, the middle of the country? Yeah, it's not. Guess what? You can't just flick on the lights and all of a sudden it's just going to be green renewable energy everywhere, considering the fact that Democrats also, for whatever fucking reason, hate nuclear energy, which is about the clearest and cleanest form of energy. But hey, fuck, even though, she also bitched I didn't bother pulling the clip about the Paris Climate Accord and those different fucking highfalutin, tough talk, regulations that Trump walked back and In fact, carbon emissions, CO2 emissions specifically, have lowered since leaving the Paris Climate Accord. So what the fuck are they gonna enter these restrictive deals with again when all you have to do is incentivize people to do good work? And guess what? You pay people, you keep government out of their shit. Yeah, businesses tend to look after shit. I'm not saying totally, but we found out, especially in the CO2 emissions. Next up on the bill was, well, it's still on the economy, but they were talking about China and how there's this huge trade deficit, and Donald Trump got bent over by Xi Jinping, and I don't know why Kamala was talking so tough about the biggest donor to the Democratic Party, but she was swinging for the fences, saying there were hundreds of thousands of jobs lost because Donald Trump lost the trade war with China. And guess who had the perfect rebuttal? I'll let the man speak for himself.
Lost the trade war with China. Joe Biden never fought it. Joe Biden has been a cheerleader for communist China over the last several decades. And again, Senator Harris, you're entitled to your opinion. You're not entitled to your own facts. When Joe Biden was vice president, we lost 200,000 manufacturing jobs. And President Obama said they were never coming back. He said we needed a magic wand to bring them back.
Well, just because Obama wasn't capable of bringing back those manufacturing jobs doesn't mean that the Trump-Pence regime weren't. Take a look here. I just got the script pulled up because, sometimes I just like to hear myself talk. So in our first 3 years, we cut taxes, rolled back regulation, unleashed American energy. This administration saw 500,000 new manufacturing jobs. Yeah, guess what? That hurts. So in the presidential debate, Joe Biden said that the American economy was in a manufacturing depression. But what Cotton Hill just had to say here was exactly the opposite. Seems like more jobs means more economic growth, which means more people employed, which kind of means that there is a significant rebound in the economy. I've said it before, and here it is again just for posterity's sake. The projected unemployment rate was supposed to be low double digits as of right now. It is sitting around 8%. You can put a 0 in front of that, but it's still a single digit total. And guess what? It's still going to end up dropping as more things eventually start reopening, or people just leave places like New York and California and head to other places to go to work because free money doesn't last forever. But that's how the Democrats are going to pay for everything, apparently. Yeah, who fucking knows? We'll stay on the presidential debate when Joe Biden was ill-equipped. Whoever was feeding him information wasn't able to tell him his current position on what they're going to do with the Supreme Court, actually. Kamala Harris didn't get the memo either because in this next clip, we're going to see what they're going to do with the Supreme Court, if they are in fact going to either end the filibuster or if they're just going to pack the court until they eventually get the majority that the Democrats so desperately want, because for whatever reason they believe that the Supreme Court needs to be another wing of their partisan hackery.
When you speak about the Supreme Court, though, I think the American people really deserve an answer, Senator Harris. Are you and Joe Biden going to pack the court if Judge Amy Coney Barrett is confirmed? I mean, there have been 29 vacancies on the Supreme Court during presidential election years, from George Washington to Barack Obama. Presidents have nominated in all 29 cases. But your party is actually openly advocating adding seats to the Supreme Court, which has had 9 seats for 150 years, if you don't get your way. This is a classic case of if you can't win by the rules, you're going to change the rules. Now, you've refused to answer the question. Joe Biden has refused to answer the question. So I think the American people would really like to know, if Judge Amy Coney Barrett is confirmed to the Supreme Court of the United States, are you and Joe Biden, if somehow you win this election, going to pack the Supreme Court to get your way?
Holy fuck, Race Bannon, calm down for a minute. That was quite a hot take there. But then, of course, we got to hear from RoboCop herself on how she answered that question, and we get an answer. It's not a pointed answer, it's not a specific answer, but I'll let her meander through it herself.
I'm so glad we went through a little history lesson. Let's do that a little more. In 1864...
Well, I'd like you to answer the question.
No, Mr. Vice President, I'm speaking. I'm speaking. Okay.
Her voice is literally the most annoying thing on the planet, so I saved you all, and I just brought up the transcript of everything right here.
Mr. Vice President, I'm speaking. Okay, in 1864...
One
of the, I think, political heroes, certainly of the president.
I'm sorry. I assume you also, Mr. Vice President, is Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln was up for re-election, and it was 27 days before the election, and a seat became open in the United States Supreme Court. Abraham Lincoln's party in charge, not only of the White House, but the Senate. But honest aid... All right, she's from San Francisco. I can't blame her for having AIDS on the mind. It was not the right thing to do. The American people deserve to make the decision about who will be the next president of the United States. And then that person can select who will serve a lifetime appointment on the highest court of our land. And so Joe and I are very clear. Are they? Let's see. The American people are voting right now, and it should be their decision who will serve on the most important body for a lifetime. Now, does that get to the bottom of packing the courts? Does that get to the bottom of ending the filibuster? It was exactly what you expected. Another non-answer. Just like reciting your biography when you are asked if you and Joe have had a pointed conversation of what the fuck's gonna happen when the old boy croaks. And that was really the story of this vice presidential debate. They also brought up the Green New Deal and Vice President Pence, I don't know why that was difficult to say, brought up the Green New Deal and properly characterizes it as a framework for the green initiatives or the climate change portion of the manifesto, as we call it. There was a lot of non-answers on both sides, to be completely honest, but Pence at least pivoted like a politician, and Harris just ate up her time and then claimed foul whenever Pence would continue to run over her. But it was really a stark contrast between the vice presidential debates and the presidential debates, because you have three career politicians. Nothing against Mike Pence, he just drives me bonkers with how center of the road he is and how old school neocon he comes across, and you couldn't pay me enough to say a nice word about Kamala Harris. But there were three people, now that we've seen everybody debate, do the exact same thing. And I think it is the most disingenuous thing you can possibly see. It's the direct address into the camera, trying to convey some type of emotion from these plastic, malleable human beings. And I don't like it one bit. I said three individuals because I know damn right not once did Donald Trump lean into the camera like that and try to make an appeal to the American public, because it comes off as insincere. And like Trump or not, what he says comes right from the hip, it comes right from his heart, and it is his genuine thoughts, like it or lump it. A lot of people don't like it, but I, for one, am actually for genuine human beings. And that's why I'm so vehement against Pence potentially getting the nomination in 24. I don't see it happening because I don't think they want to retread that old Reagan ground, but fuck, who knows? We'll see how many old neocons are left who haven't died or retired by the time 24 rolls around. So who the fuck knows? Maybe the coup will claim a couple more people before we're all said and done. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that VP recap, and it's kind of a shame that we aren't going to get another debate before the election, but hey, who knows? Crazier shit have happened. Keep your hopes up for that Joe Rogan and Donald Trump conversation that I'm willing into existence through thoughts and prayers. I thank you all very much for the gift of your time, and I greatly appreciate it. Hopefully you enjoyed the increased production values, and we're going to be working on a little things here every now and again to make it more enjoyable for y'all. But with that said, I've been Don Consuelo. I want you guys to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.